So I wanted to get into the queens that were favored and also unfavored each season. We always talk about or hear about the favoritism of queens each season, but we really don't hear about those who were unfavored. And I guess sometimes we call those queens one that were slept on by the judges or overlooked by them, but I want to see both and see if there's any kind of parallel between the two. Like, did the queen that was unfavored get wins taken away or harsher judgment than from the favorite queen? Like, did the favorite queen take the win from the unfavored queen, or did the favorite queen do the same thing but get praised while the unfavored queen did the same thing and got red? So let's look and see. So season one, I would say the favored queen was Rebecca. And I say favored because she was clearly pushed more than what she should have been. And this became apparent after her first lip sync in the bottom two against Jade and the fact that she was declared the winner. I mean, I personally saw her runways getting worse. Her ability to do good in challenges was not getting any better. It was getting worse. And, Jade to me had a much better presence with her runways. I just think because they were just so hung up on her tuck that they just were always getting on her about it. But, she was declared the winner for that, and clearly Jade won. I mean, I thought Jade won the lip sync as soon as she dropped into the first jump split and did the motorcycle revving perfect with the song. That was perfect. But there was that instance. But then the next instance was when she was declared the winner for the makeover challenge. And again, it was you didn't do much because your girl was super easy to make over. Clearly the prettiest one because they were making over essentially queens that had a more they were athletes. I think they were boxers or wrestlers, but they did something very athletic that their femininity just really wasn't there. So the queen's job was to bring that out. And Jade, and I think she even picked this for herself, had the easiest girl to do, and she won. And then it was always baffling that she was in the top three. I definitely think someone like Chanel or even Angina should have been up there more than Rebecca. So she was definitely the favorite queen of that season. Now, the unfavored queen, I would say, was Chanel. And this is an instance of the favorite queen taking away a win from the unfavored queen. Chanel definitely should have won her makeover challenge. I felt like the judges didn't really care for Chanel's kind of outrageous with drag. The first few seasons of Drag Race, they really took themselves seriously. I don't think they loosened up until maybe season 5 or 6. Not even season 5, the way they got on Jinx's runways. But yeah, they took things really seriously. So I think they just thought that, okay, Chanel, you should be able to know how to put on a pageant front in front of us and not keep the charades going. So I think Chanel was unfavored. Not that she was snubbed a lot of wins or a lot of high placements, but I think there were times that she really should have gotten more praise. She should have gotten more praise with how well she did with the girl group challenge. And I think she did the makeup, and the judges really liked the way that she did the makeup. But yet, Angina got the win, and there wasn't much praise given to Chanel for that. But if Chanel did bad or said anything off, they were quick to get on her. So I'm still waiting for Chanel to come back for All Stars, because she was definitely in Chad's shadow, All Stars 1. So it would be really great to see her shine and hopefully, hopefully get just some better love than what she's gotten in the past. All right, season 2. I think in some ways, in some ways, I feel like Raven was a bit favored. Um, Now, in the beginning, she got her bottoms like she deserved. She was bad, but it's almost like they just really enjoyed having Raven on the stage. They loved her, they gave her praises, they were just always talking about her. And I think it shows the test of time seeing where Raven is now. She was really favored a lot, but I think unlike Rebecca, it was a good favorite as far as she didn't take necessarily away from another queen, but you know. Now, a queen that I think was unfavored. Um, in some ways, I feel it was a bit of Pandora, but also Jessica, because while Pandora always was getting like criticized and for her runways and whatnot, Jessica got nothing. And Jessica always did really good. Like Jessica was always like a really star person. She was so sweet. Her runways were really good, but she just never got any like recognition for it. And the one time she did, they took away the immunity, so she wasn't able to get past her kind of hilarious fumble in the book challenge. So I honestly think it's more so Jessica, because at least Pandora was recognized for how great she was. Jessica never really did. But unlike the last season, it wasn't a sense of, oh, Raven did the same thing, or, oh, Raven took away a win. In fact, if anything, I thought the win that Jessica did get for the Rocker Challenge, Raven was going to get. But here we are. Season 3, I think not Raven, I almost said Raja was a bit favored a little bit. Just as far as she just always got a lot of love, always got a lot of praise, didn't take wins away, I don't feel like, except for, I don't really think her Tyra impersonation was like top 3 worthy. It was more like a safe. I would have put maybe Vanilla there over her, but she didn't win it. So, and then the fact that the cake challenge, they talked about her makeup was spooky. You could see her undergarments with the like white thing she was using, but she still won. So it was like things like that. You were like, okay, judges, show your favoritism. Unfavored, I do think it was Yara, but you could say the same thing about Alexis. Even though Alexis got her wins, I feel like the judges back then was like really hard on queens that spoke Spanish first, and the fact that Yara was so zany, it was almost like they looked at her as a joke. They never really took her seriously. And, just like Jessica, Yara did a lot of great, and she rarely fumbled, but the couple times that she did, they got on her hard about it. So it was just like, okay, pick and choose. You're hard on her when she does bad, but you don't say much when she does good, Like, she was hilarious in that workout challenge. But they were just so hung up on her bad dress, which wasn't that bad, but whatever. And it's like, okay, but she was hilarious. She was funny as a background person, and she was great when she was her time to shine. Like, I would have given her the win over Alexis, but Alexis did have a much better runway for that episode. All right, season 4. I think Sharon was definitely favored. She was given, there was one win that I don't think she deserved, which was the infomercials for RuPaul's albums. And she was good, but I don't know, maybe it's just my knowledge. I didn't really understand her angle. And I thought that Kenya did really good. Her runway was really good. It was much better than Sharon's, and she should have won. And I mean, I appreciate her winning still, because she was so different. I think that if we had I definitely think that Sharon's win is what changed the trajectory of RuPaul's Drag Race because now you started seeing the non-pageant queens essentially getting loved and then wins. You know, Jinx may not have won if it wasn't for that because Jinx runways were not good. They probably would have given it to Roxy or Bianca. Well, I don't know. Bianca is different. But anyway, off track. So Sharon was definitely favored and she was given more wins that she should have gotten. Unfavored. Mm, I think in some. Oh, why am I trying to guess? What's her name? Milan. Wow. Milan was definitely unfavored because she could never do anything right. She just failed in their eyes every time. I think the most blatant showing of that was the episode she got eliminated on, the boat one. She said that her boat was about her. You know, like she took inspiration of herself and wanted to make a boat that was future forward. I think it was Billy B. He said he was offended by her because it was just all about her. Meanwhile, Willem over here did the exact same thing, if not even more self-centered, with pictures of herself, and she won. So it was like, are you kidding? Come on now. And they didn't appreciate her like gender F drag, like when she did Janelle Monáe. I forget what the runway theme was, but it was really cool. And she still dragged it up. Like she still had her makeup done and they got on her about it. And you know, I think with the exception of like I didn't like her look for the boat runway, her runways are always pretty good and they never really like gave her praise for it. So she was really unfavored. I think one of the most unfavored queens. She didn't have any wins taken away from her, but my goodness, was there ever a compliment in their book for her? Season 5, I think Jinx in ways was favored just because, you know, it's been said that her elimination song, not elimination, her bottom two song was switched specifically for her because they wanted her to win or at least be pushed to the final 3. So there wasn't a lot of favoritism I saw this season. Everything felt fairly judged. Um, I think the only queen that I felt may have a slight bit of unfavoritism was Alaska off and on because they just didn't appreciate a lot of her take on drag, which I thought was interesting given the fact that they love Sharon's like outrageous take, which was her boyfriend at the time, and still they didn't you let her have it. Like when she did like the kind of like Buffalo Bill thing for the children's thing, they were like mad that she was a drag queen and not. They were mad that she was in male drag and not girl drag, and it's like, but it's part of the challenge. Like, what are y'all tripping about? So, you know, things like that. Season 6, Adore. Adore was the absolute favorite queen because she was given passes on challenges she should have been in the bottom for, and she wasn't. And then April was unfavored. And this is another instance of the favorite queen getting a slide and the unfavored queen suffers for it. And this example is coming from the first time they were as a group, which was the acting challenge. And Adore, who was a bad team leader, she was messing up her own lines. They didn't like the way she casted. And then I think even her runway was bad too. And she wasn't in the bottom, but April was, who did a decent job with her characterization. And then her runway was just awesome. That April showers. So it was like, what? And yet we're still waiting for April. Like, the fact that April brought the looks that she did was amazing. I can only imagine what she would bring now. Season 7 was Miss Fame. She was super favored. I know people would think it was probably Pearl, but let's be real. Fame was bottom 3 so many times in a row too. And she should have been in the bottom two. She should have been lip syncing. I mean, I think she should have been lip syncing over Katya in the first bottom placement for her for the airplane challenge thing, and she wasn't. And I was like, what? And then Katya had a really good runway, and Fame for the first time didn't. So it's like, why? So she was very favored. Unfavored, Max. Max, I mean, what else can you say about the Snatch game? Did she deserve to be in the bottom? Yeah, she did. But Fame should have been in the bottom two with her, not Jaden. Now, I know that Jaden's runway was really bad compared to Miss Fame. Like, Miss Fame had that beautiful hair. She looked really good, but her Donatella was horrible. Not a single laugh. At least she laughed at least once at Jaden's. So there's that. Season 8, I think Kimchi was favored. There were some challenges that I felt that she should have been in the bottom two. I think the first instance was the what is that? The Rusical one. I think it should have been her over Layla because at least Layla was like doing it, but I don't know. That probably was another case of the runway because Kimchi's runways were always good, but she should have definitely been the bottom two in the, what is that challenge? The political debates, not debates, the political smear campaigns. I wish they would do that instead of these debates because I hate the debates, but I love these like videos that they do. But they shouldn't have judged it in pairs. Like, honestly, Bob should have been given the win on his own, or even Bob and Naomi as a double win because Naomi was great, plus her runway. Derek's wasn't. But, what is her name? Chi Chi's was good, and her runway was good. So it really should have been Thorgy and Kimchi in the bottom. Of course, Kimchi would have gone home, but yeah, there was that. Unfavored, I think Thorgy in some ways were unfavored, and it definitely showed on All Stars 3. But, you know, she was always second to Bob. And the first time Bob won over her, I did agree with the Ruru Kitty one. But I do think that Thorgy should have won the Snatch game over Bob. Because her Michael Jackson was so perfect and it wasn't offensive. And because Bob to me was much better as Uzo. So if he stayed as Uzo, he would have been like my, winner pick. But he switched to Carol. Carol was good, but he should have stuck with Uzo. So there. Season 9, I mean, come on. Valentina was our big favorite queen. She earned her win for the first competitive challenge with the cheerleading group, but she should have just been like safe for the princess looks. And there was that, but there was only so much favoritism that Rue could do for that last lip sync because you just can't overlook her not knowing the words. Unfavored, I'm trying to think. I don't really think there was much of an unfavoritism towards the queens. So maybe season 9 is the only one where maybe a little bit Nina, because like the Kardashian musical, she should have been safe and not in the bottom. They only put her in the bottom because of her attitude, but she shouldn't have overall been in the bottom. Season 10, Eureka. Eureka was definitely favored, definitely given passes, pushed to the front. Ugh, I couldn't stand season 10 Eureka. Really couldn't. Oh my goodness. Overlooked. I guess a bit of, what's her name? Cracker. There were some wins that she, not wins, there were some that she should have gotten. Like, and here's another one. She should have run the Bossy Rossi as I think it was a pickle over Eureka. Now, look, I'm not mad at them giving Eureka praise for being body positive, being practically naked with how big she was. Okay. Cracker was better. It was more funny. Season 11, I think Brooklyn was favored. She was given some wins that she shouldn't have gotten. Like, I don't think she should have gotten the makeover challenge win. No. No, 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 no. And she was topped so many times. And I'm like, she could have sat down. Like, her farm to runway runway, she could have sat down. She could have been safe. That was a cute look. It was fine. It was fine. Unfavored. I think Ariel Versace in some ways was because, like, I just felt like she just couldn't do it right. And, like, the acting challenge that they had, Ariel wasn't good, but Brooklyn was way worse. And they made it seem like Ariel was up for potentially being in the bottom two over Brooklyn when Brooklyn was clearly worse. Brooklyn was horrible. Season 12, Gigi. Gigi was favored. It got on my nerves how favored she was. Like, I was really upset that she was going to be the winner because it was giving winner edit. But glad she wasn't. Unfavored. I don't know. It felt like people like Heidi, it would come and go. I felt like, I saw her growth, but the judges never always like gave her props for how much she was growing with her makeup, her runways, just her overall like getting it together. But it wasn't bad. Like, it was in no way bad, but it could have had a sprinkle of more praise and appreciation. Season 14, Bosca was really favored. I was so annoyed that they essentially gave her a pass on her repetitive runway and the fact that she was the golden chocolate one. It was like, I knew it had to be her. I said, watch it be Bosco. And it was. Unfavored, I feel a little bit of Jasmine Kennedy. She again was another queen that was growing, that was improving, and it wasn't given like praise or it wasn't given recognition for it. Season 15, I would say, is Sasha. Was a bit favored. I think there were wins that she got that she didn't deserve, but then there were wins that she didn't get that she should have gotten. I think what was the first win? Okay, the first win, the acting challenge, she earned that. But her second win with the the ball, I thought Mistress should have maybe gotten that win over her. And then with the 50-50 one, I was like, I would have given it to Lux for that one. But she should have won the rocker chick episode. And the Rusical, I felt that her Carl was really, really funny over what Anitra was doing. But, still. And then the fact that she was given a much better song for her finale number, I was like, okay. Unfavored, I think a bit of Lucy in some ways was. Look, I can't stand Lucy, but sometimes they were pushing her buttons. But it was mostly the queens. And that's it, I'm not really doing all-stars. So let me know if you agree with those that I felt were favored and those that I felt were unfavored. And I'll talk to y'all next time.